Hey everybody, it's me, it's Undead Viking. I'm here with another video review. Today, well actually like last couple of days, it's been raining just cats and dogs here in the boonies in Minnesota. So if you ever hear a rumbling and a swirling coming from behind me during this video, it's due to the fact that my sump pump keeps going off. For those of you who don't know what a sump pump is combines with the drain tile around your house to funnel all the water that would normally maybe possibly seep into your foundation, and it kind of pools in a well underneath your house. And after the water raises to a certain level, a pump goes off and then it automatically discharges the water outside of your house to a safe distance. But enough about home improvement and what have you. A few days ago, I went to my Twitter account, and yes, I do have a Twitter account. I don't use it as much as I probably should. I just don't really have the time to keep up with it, but every once in a while I do engage the followers that I have. So if you do follow me on Twitter and you're watching this, thank you very much for doing that. But I did send out a tweet to my followers asking them, I gave them a list of games that I was thinking about doing a review of very shortly, and I asked them to weigh in on what they wanted. Two of them got a lot of wish lists, and those are the two that I'm going to be doing reviews of first. I'm going to do the other ones as well. The second most votes, I guess technically, I got was Dead Panic, and I will be doing a review of that fairly soon. But the game that got the most votes is this game right here, Space Cadets Dice Duel. This is from Stronghold Games. You might remember Space Cadets was one of my top games from last year. It's an excellent cooperative game. I never got around to actually doing a review of it. Basically, tons of people had done a review. I know that's kind of a cop-out. I should do a review of it myself, but it's a really good cooperative game where each person has a role, and I'm sure there's tons of reviews you can check out. Maybe I'll do one. Who knows? But anyway, and so this is kind of like in their world of Space Cadets. This is kind of the dice game, and this is a game that pits two teams of starship captains flying their little spaceships around a board, and they're dueling. They're trying to blast the other one into atoms, and they do that by rolling tons of these colorful dice. And it's a fast, frenetic game of action and laughs and trash talk. And so then you probably can say dice, trash talk, fun, things like that. You know that this is probably a game that just hit on all cylinders for me. So I played it several times. This is a game that Stephen Bonacore, the Grand Poobah of Stronghold Games, was kind enough to give me a copy, and so now I'm going to repay the favor. I'm going to do a review of the game. So I'm going to show you how to play the game. It's fairly simple if you played dice games, and if you've played Space Cadets, you're going to see a lot of things that actually remind you of the game because of the whole, like, the different jobs on the ship and stuff like that. And oh, there goes the sump pump right now. Can you hear it? And there's the water. I don't know. Maybe my microphone can't pick that up. I have no idea. But it's possible that you could have. But anyway, so I'm going to show you that, and then I'll come back and I'll tell you what really makes the game fun for me, and then hopefully we can get to a point where you can see what it is about the game that might appeal to you, and then you can pick it up, because I think it's being released very, very soon if it hasn't been released already. So. Alright, well, let's show you how to play Space Cadets. Sump pump. I don't know why I dig that sound. Alright, here is the game board for Space Cadets Dice Duel. I've gone ahead and set it up for you. You can see these are where the two spaceships are. Probably can't see the dark gray arrow there. That's where the black ship starts, and the white arrow, that's where the white ship starts. These displays over here are the damage screens. Like as you become damaged, after your ship takes 4 hits, you're destroyed and then you'll lose. I'll explain that a little bit further. I should mention the game board actually has some really cool things. Like, it's actually like the console of a spaceship. You'll see that, like, There's like, you know, like little scuff marks there, and there's a coffee ring there where somebody's been placing their drink and things like that. And it's kind of cool how they go to the extra effort to make it look like that. I've set up the game board, as I said. Each one of these little purple crystals is where one of these little glass crystals is on. You've seen these in lots of games, I'm sure. Crystals are collected by using the tractor beams on your ship for special abilities. I'll kind of go into that further. I just want to point out that each one of these crystals has a die number on each one. And when you use a crystal, like say you collected the tractor beam and you use it for a special ability, you'll place it in these little spots here. And then after a torpedo is fired, doesn't matter who fires it, any crystals that are in those locations, then you roll a six-sided die, and depending on the roll, then you would place a crystal, say like back there. Since I mentioned that, I should mention that this game really doesn't have any breaks. The action just keeps going and going and going and going until somebody loses. The only time you ever really stop the gameplay is when somebody actually fires a torpedo at somebody else, and that's when you kind of stop. You see if the torpedo hits, you see if it does any damage, and then you carry on from there. It's kind of like the game just slows down for like just a few moments. You determine it, and then you just speed right back up into gameplay, and everybody starts rolling dice again. You'll see a couple of tokens out here. These are placed by the different teams as you see fit. They're either nebulas or asteroids. Asteroids can knock out your shields. Nebulas can knock out your sensors. Pretty straightforward if you go through those locations. And you will go through those locations, because if you've ever played the original Space Cadets cooperative game, you'll know that your spaceship, you'd think, is much easier to control than it is, but unfortunately, just because of luck and what have you, it can get a little more difficult to use. I'm just going to kind of just show you what exactly happens in a turn. Once you set everything up, somebody will say 1, 2, 3, go, and who's ever in charge of engineering will start by rolling on their engineering dice. Now, I should mention that this is a team game, so theoretically, hopefully, you'll have at least 4 people playing, so you'll have 2 on 2. Now, I really think this game is best when it's 3 on 3, because then you can have one person just in charge of engineering, and the other people can have the other control of the other spots. The helm, which of course directs the spaceship, the shields, which protect you, the sensors, which allow you to either lock on to a ship to fire your torpedoes or jam the other ship from being able to lock onto you. The photon torpedoes, which are what you use to destroy each other, and the tractor beam, which is used to hopefully, sometimes you can even move the other ship, maybe move them into like asteroids or things like that, or gather the crystals. I guess theoretically you could play like a 6-on-6 game, though I think that would get a little bit too crazy in a way, because of the fact that there's all those people, first of all 12 people sitting at a table, and secondly, if you are using a station on the ship that isn't used as often, like say tractor beams or what have you, you may be left out of the action for an extended period of time. So I really think 3 on 3 is perfect, because I said you can have one person in charge of engineering, and then you can kind of divvy them up. Or, as they even suggest in the rules, to have like engineering and a couple other places be what the engineering can control, or two people, like when one person is designated like the captain, and they can kind of maybe direct the attention. They don't really roll any dice, but they kind of just help out. This is what we should do. This is what we should do. But regardless, I have tried playing it one-on-one, and it's not as much fun because you kind of need more people just going crazy and rolling dice, and makes the game a lot more fun. But anyway, so engineering is pretty simple, but it is probably the most important part of the game. You get this little stat, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is the different spots, obviously, that are over here that you use to power the different abilities. And you'll roll your dice, and you start off with 6 dice. And you get to roll all these dice, and then you get to place them as you see fit on this particular board. Now notice there isn't a 6 on there, so if you roll 6s, you re-roll those. Now, as your ship takes damage, what will happen is you'll actually be forced to place your dice over onto these spots, and once you take 3, I actually did that backwards, as you start with green, but it really doesn't matter. Obviously, then you start losing dice and how many you can use. One of the special abilities of having a crystal is that you can actually then place a crystal in the location instead of your die, and so you can gather your dice back. But you know, I'll talk more about crystals later. But anyway, so like you have this, and what happens is you roll this, and then you can. And the thing about this isn't one of those games where you roll the dice 3 times and take the best. You're just rolling dice, rolling dice, rolling dice, rolling dice, and if you don't like this, you pick up whatever you want, you roll dice. Pick up whatever you want, roll dice, and that's your option. You can sit there and just keep rolling engineering dice until you've used them all up, or you can still have some left over, and if you're playing like another spot, you can go and roll that. You know, and you can just keep these engineering dice going. But in this case, you know, like if I said, well, I really want some. You really like the beginning of the game, you want some helm. So those are 5s. I didn't get any 5s, but it's always good to have a photon torpedo ready if you want. So look, I got those for 1s, and I could go like that. Then I could say, well, tractor beams, I don't need those. And shield, well, shield's always nice. And sensors, no, you know, I really want. But as I'm rolling the next roll, whoops, as I knock my my shield die over. As I'm rolling my next roll, what's going to happen is that the other players see that I've designated those dice, and they're going to take them, and they're going to put them on their particular board. So you know, I put these haphazardly in direction, but so they put that one on the shields, and they put this on weapons, and now I'm over here, and I'm rolling like crazy. And like I said, I rolled a 5, so that's good. And I forgot what the other 2 were, but regardless, who cares? So I'm over there rolling engineering dice. Now the action kind of cuts over to, and this is seamless. I mean, this isn't, and the other team is doing the exact same thing. And now they're rolling, and so they just got a die. So now they're like, oh, I need shields. And where do I want the shields? And so they're going to roll a die. And the shield die, as you can see, like, has all these different locations, like which spot is it going to shield. And so they're saying, well, I really want, like, front shields. You know, that's what I want. So, oh, awesome. You know, I got a front shield. And so then I can place that die on this location like that. And then when I place that die, I immediately give this die back to whoever's running engineering. And now they have an extra die and they're rolling. Now, you can probably assume that things are getting pretty crazy as that goes on. And so then this person here, they've got the two weapons, you know, and so they're rolling those, and they're trying to, now weapons, these are like actually results for, you'll use these if you're trying to damage a ship when you fire them. But what you want to get is you want to get the different parts of the torpedo. So that's like the nose, that's the middle, and where's the tail fin? There you go. And so you're sitting there and you're rolling these. There you go. So I got a rear end of it. I got the middle. So now I just need the nose cone. I'd have a photon torpedo. And you can probably see this, and I'll show you close up actually. That there's room for having 2 torpedoes on either side, but you only have enough dice. You only have 6 dice. So you can, and this is either ones that fire in the front or they fire in the back. And so you have, you know, and so that person's rolling that. And so that's what happens. And so then I've used those up, so I hand them back to engineering. You know, engineering rolls some more dice, and then tractor beam got some, and tractor beam rolls some of their dice and tries to figure out, okay, cool, we've made our 2 mines, you know, because I'll explain that in a little bit. And then I hand those dice back, and now this is what you're doing. And the big thing is that as you roll helm movement, you'll be moving your ship like this. And as bad things happen to you, you know, if you'll be collecting crystals by using a tractor beam, and maybe you'll take some shield damage when you go through that. And eventually you get close enough, and you're going to start firing at each other and seeing what's going to happen. And this is one of those games that it's almost as amusing to watch the game being played as it is to actually be playing it. And let me tell you, playing it is a very exciting time. I'll put it like that. But regardless, I hope that gives you like the basic idea of how all the dice being rolled and everything going on, and how the engineering interacts with the other spots. But now I'm just going to kind of explain further, you know, what each different spot does, so you can kind of get a good glimpse of this. Now this is the helm, and they have A, B, and C. And obviously A is first, B is second, C is third. And you can see these dice. If you played Space Cadets, the cooperative game, you might remember like seeing the different tokens that have these different directions and what have you. But pretty simply, if you're trying to figure out what you want to do, you roll these, and it's like, okay, I want the first one to be straight, and the next one I want to turn, and like that. Now it's important to note that if I'm like this, until I get another piece of energy that I can roll the next die, I can't move. I'm not going to move until I get all three of these filled out. And so what happens is then finally I get the other one, and so then I enact my movement, and I'll go, you know, straight forward one, and then I go up and I turn, and then I go straight again, so that you can kind of follow that direction, how that works. You'll notice that you never actually ever turn in the same spot that you're in. You always are moving and then turning. There's even a thing that allows you to like move and then just turn around immediately. No, so that's so with Helm, you know, it's kind of neat because you don't really get to do anything until you actually succeed. And I should note that it's kind of nice that they just actually weren't kind enough to put on there that if you run into a nebula, you lose 2 sensor. If you run into an asteroid, you lose 2 shields. They just put that right on there so you can see it. And so I mean, but you're not that you're going to forget that, but it's kind of neat they put that on there. But that's how Helm works. Now, some things will happen where, like, if you're moving, and I'm going to talk about combat here in just a little bit, but when you're moving, nothing else really can happen to you until you stop moving. So if you're in the middle of your move, you can't have somebody tell you, I'm going to shoot at you. They have to wait until you're done moving before they can shoot at you. Just like you can't, you know, move and then as you're moving shoot a torpedo at somebody and then do your thing. You got to do your complete movement, and then you can do whatever it is that you want to do. Okay, so that's the Helm, and that's how that works. I kind of explained shields already, but you know, it's pretty simple. You roll the dice, and you get to place the shields wherever you are. Obviously, the more shields in the location, the better. A lot of times, you'll be taking dice off because like you realize that like if your opponent is just staying in this location, and you have shields in the rear, you're going to realize that they aren't helping you. And since you only have 3 dice, you'll take dice off here and hopefully get some more energy so that you can then use it and maybe get the dice in a better location. When you can take the dice off if you want, you know, at any location really, but you know, and this is one that seems like it happens a lot though. You don't ever get anything back at all when you take them off. You have to wait till you get energized again. Sensors, I'll explain those a little more deeply when we talk about combat here in just a moment, but they have 2 different things. These are the locks and these are the jams. And so as you put them down, you know, like the locks have to go on this side. Obviously the jamming has to go on the other side. And some of these have 2, some of these have 1, and you tabulate the total by the number of each that's in each one. Basically, both of those are helpful, obviously, for either hitting the opponent or being able to avoid the opponent's attacks. Finally, I talked about, I explained how the weapons work, and I'll explain once again. Attacks are coming up real quickly here, I'll explain that to you. But tractor beams, you have attractors. This powers the tractor beam. This allows you to be able to affect things further away. The more power you have available to you, the farther away you can actually grab something. You can grab the crystals or even the enemy ship and pull it closer to you. Or these are the mines, and you only ever get 2 of these mines. And once they're powered up, you can drop them. You drop them in the exact spot that your ship is. So if I drop one here, I would drop it just like that. It can't hurt you until you move off of the spot. So when you move off of the spot, then if you ever go back in, the mine will get you as well. But mines automatically do a point of damage to you, regardless of how many shields you have. And so mines are kind of neat that you can kind of like drop them and in the hopes that in a high traffic area or something, or where you think somebody might be moving eventually. And so you'd want to, or you can even drop it and then like use your tractor beam and pull somebody into it. I've done that in a game before, and it works pretty well actually. So you know, that's how that goes. Now, okay, so basically the bottom line is combat. How do you destroy your opponent's spaceship? Because that's basically the whole point of the game. Once you have you've created a torpedo, and it's sitting there in your bay, and you can have, like I said, you can have one. You can have two that face forward, or two that face back, or one of each, like so. At some point, you'll say, you know, you say fire one if you have one that you can fire that is in range, or if you actually have two, you can say fire two, and then you'll fire both your torpedoes. And as soon as you say you're going to fire, the action stops. If somebody's in the middle of a movement, like I said, you can't make them stop their movement. Their movement is done, but the action kind of grinds to a halt, and it's almost kind of a nice little break, because now you can, like, now you don't have to worry about rolling dice constantly, and you can figure out whether or not you've hit your opponent and damaged them and possibly won the game. So, okay, so we're in the middle, like, okay, let's just put these guys closer together, like so, like this. And the white player says, you know, fire one, because it's in the arc. You'll notice that, actually, this is kind of one of those neat things where it's really handy. You can actually see the firing arc here. It's like these three in front, and so on and so forth, like that. And so those are the squares, and so you can see the three, and so there, you know, it's 3 squares away, and I'm going to say fire one, and we're gonna try to do some damage to the black spaceship right there. To figure out whether or not you've hit the enemy there, there's going to be a couple things you have to check. First, you have to check the range and see how far away that ship is, and you don't count the range like diagonally in any way, so you can't, like, you know, go 1, 2, 3 or like that. You count the range 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's within 4, and you have to then see if you have any lock dice. You have to have locked onto a target in order to do that. So in this case, I would have to have like 4 lock dice, like that. Now, if the opponent actually had some jammer dice on there, like let's say he had 1 jammer, that adds to the range. So I would actually need, then in this case, if he had like 1 jammer, I'd have to you know, have 5 in order to actually hit. And so we look at that, and we're going to say, okay, yeah, we got enough. So we've locked on, and we're going to, we have the ability to hit that ship. So we fire the torpedo, and we pull the torpedo off of our display. And so now we actually have to see, we know it's hit, we have to see if it does any damage. Now, if there's no shields on that particular portion of that ship, we immediately do a point of damage, and they're forced to take one of their engineering die and place it over there. And if you manage to do that 4 times, that's how you destroy the other ship, and that's how you win. However, if they have shields on there, you have to be able to defeat the shields. Now, if they have 3 shields total, like if they somehow manage to get all 3 shields on the side in question, you automatically miss, which can stink. But by doing that, no matter what happens, they have to remove those shield dice. And I should mention also, if somebody has like a ton of jammer dice, like let's say they just have like 6 jammer dice in there, you might be thinking, well, how am I possibly going to shoot them? I mean, I can't get that many dice. If you shoot at them, they have to get rid of their jammer dice, just like you have to get rid of your lock dice once you shoot. So sometimes you'll fire off a torpedo at somebody just so they have to clear off their board. And so then you can fire again. You know, maybe you have another torpedo or something like that. But anyway, so if they have 3, you can't do any damage. There's just no way. But at least you get rid of their shield dice. If they have 2 or 1, you get to roll one of these dice. Remember I mentioned that they have these little blast marks on it? If they have 1 shield, if you roll either that guy or that guy, you'll do damage. If they have 2 shields, you have to roll that guy to do damage. So that's how combat occurs. Now, there's a couple other things really quickly. If I say I'm going to shoot and I fire at them, you know, like let's say it was more like this, so they were actually facing away from me. because the action is slowed down, they in turn can say, I'm shooting at you as soon as you get done. So you can't like fire it and then like immediately say, and now I'm going to use my helm dice, I'm going to move away. Your opponent does get a chance to, like, during the action stop, they get to react to it and choose to fire at you if they so desire. So, you know, you can't play a tricky little, what's the word I'm looking for here? You can't do kind of like a tricky timing thing there. You have to allow them their just desserts, if you will. Other than that, I mean, that's, you can, like I said, you can go ahead and fire 2 torpedoes at once. But you check for each torpedo separately. It isn't one attack. You aren't like dual linked fired torpedoes or something like that. Basically, the only thing you really have to remember is that after everything's done, you have to clean everything up. So you have to make sure that all of the dice that were used are removed. And but the shield dice are only removed if the torpedoes hit, even if they don't cause any damage. Everything else gets removed automatically, but the torpedoes have to hit for you to remove the shield dice. That's kind of, we've screwed that up a couple times when we were playing, and so there we go. And then that's also, as I said, when like if any used crystals have been used up, they get returned to the dice randomly in one of those 6 locations. I mentioned the crystals a couple times now, and I wanted to like just touch on them really quick, the different abilities that they have. You can, as you can see down here, you can use 1 crystal to just basically pick a die and make it be something. By that I mean like you can go ahead and, it's called a station override according to the rules, and instead of getting energy to activate one of the dice and rolling it, you can just discard a crystal into that box over here, this purple box, and just place a station die on the face of their choice, and you just bypass having to roll all engineering dice at all. And you just pick the spot, like you really needed, you know, like if you had 2 parts of your torpedo and you really just needed that one part, you could just spend a crystal, bam, I got a torpedo, now I can shoot. That's what you can do. One that we've used a lot is actually warping. You can spend 1 crystal to warp to any of the other locations. So like maybe the guy's just blasting the heck out of you, need to get out of there. You say, I'm going to use 1. You warp immediately to that location, which probably in this case wouldn't help much, but you maintain the facing that you have though when you do warp there. The one other thing is that if an opponent ship is on the spot and you warp to that spot, you can't warp to that spot. You can, by the way, when you're moving around, you can, however, you can be in the same spot as your opponent. You never ram each other. You know, space is pretty 3-dimensional. You're in the same location. You still maintain your facings, however. So in like this situation, the black ship wouldn't be able to fire on the white, but the white would. But you just could choose. But after you see the results, you actually, well, I should mention that you don't roll 1 die. You actually roll 2 dice, and you get to pick which one you want to go to. If you roll doubles, tough luck. You have to take that one. If you don't like what you rolled, you can spend another crystal to roll 2 more dice, and then you can pick from all 4 of those as far as which one you want to go to. So you can burn through your crystals pretty quickly that way, actually, if you're looking for a specific roll as far as what you want to get to. But that's how those work. Oh, and then I mentioned that before, but you spend 2 crystals, which will allow you to place a crystal over there and be able to take one of your dice back, which is really good to use and really powerful. The only thing I think I didn't really explain too in depth was tractor beams. So quickly, the way tractor beams, the way you actually use, so like you have these dice, and if they haven't been used for mines already, the way you have these little lightning bolts, like so. To use the tractor beam, as I said, you will use tractor beams to either grab crystals or to move your opponent's ship. To successfully use your tractor beam on anything, you have to have a double the range between you and the object you want to tractor beam in energy with these little lightning bolts that are on there. So you need like a lot of them, and you got to get close usually to tractor beam. If you tractor beam a crystal, you just take it, you put it with your supply, and you can use it as needed. That's pretty straightforward. To tractor beam a ship, you actually have to say tractor beam, and then the game kind of grinds to a halt once again, and you go through the same process as I've shown you with combat before. And then if you successfully tractor beam somebody, you can move it in any one of the 9 spots that are next to it. And like the whole point of using a tractor beam is you're hoping to like have them slam into some asteroids or what have you, so you can, or hopefully maybe even a mine that would be near them, and then that you do damage to them and things like that with the tractor beam. It should be noted that whenever you use tractor beam, you will then remove the tractor beam dice that you have on here. The interesting thing is if you actually do it as in a mine, I mentioned using the mines earlier, you actually take all the dice off the tractor beam display when you use the mine. Regardless, you don't just use the mine dice that are on there. And you can never get your mines back, by the way. You get 2, and that's the only 2 you ever get. And you can actually shoot a mine with a photon torpedo. Same thing, it's combat. So if you think you're going to ram one, and it's like going to be the last hit to take you out, you can shoot with a photon torpedo to keep yourself alive. So there you go. I mean, that's kind of the whole rules. I mean, there's not a lot to it. It's pretty intuitive, actually, once you start playing it. But like I said, it's a game that... it's fun to watch people play, it's fun to be playing it, and it's both fun to be on the losing and the winning end, just because hilarity usually does ensue as you're playing. And woe be the guy that can't manage to roll the dice on the table, because time waits for no one in this game. So if you lose the dice off the table, nobody's ever going to call timeout and let you go track that one down. So it's up to you. So if you're one of those people that can't keep the dice on the table, I highly suggest investing in a dice tray of some sort. But, well, there you go. Well, let me tell you exactly what I think of Space Cadet Dice Duels, and yeah, you obviously know I like it, but let me tell you exactly why I like it. Actually, since it's space, there would be no sounds. It would be just... probably not even that pop noise, but anyway. So, okay. These little spaceship models like work perfectly for the game. But I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if, like, you know, obviously you'd have to probably expand the squares a little bit to make the scale work. But I mean, you could substitute Star Trek miniatures, you know, for this, and so then you can have you know, Klingons versus, you know, the Federation or the Cardassians or whatever, and you can have them battle. That'd be kind of cool. But regardless, these guys are still, you know, fairly cool. They're the exact same from Space Cadets, the original game. So anyway, there you go. So, all right. It doesn't take much to understand how to play the game. You know, everybody just rolls a bunch of dice and they just keep rolling until they get, you know, and then you act upon those dice. And the game itself is one of those simple but deep games, and I say that a lot in my reviews. But I mean, this one it definitely clues in. Actually, I mean, the strategy and the tactics of the game are pretty straightforward. I mean, you pretty much know what you're supposed to be doing on every turn. You know that you want to turn towards your enemy, and you want to be able to shoot at him, and you know, you want your shields in the right spot to protect yourself from damage, and you want to avoid the asteroids and things like that. And you know exactly what it is that you want to do on your turn, but sometimes the dice just don't agree with what you need. And that's where, like, the fun of the game comes in. It's trying to get the right dice for what you need to do on any given turn. And the real fun comes with the fact that this is totally a team game. Now, there's lots of games out there they say, okay, you're going to play on teams. And what happens a lot of times with teams is that, you know, what happens? One person kind of dictates the action. You know, they say, okay, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this. Let's go. And they have that one grand poobah in charge, if you will. And, you know, and that's fine. I mean, if everybody kind of agrees with it. But, I mean, I like the ability to, you know, have my own identity, if you will, and being able to make my own decisions. And the thing is that this game, I mean, obviously, like, the engineer, to start with, like, you know, has to get the energy to the right spots when they're rolling their dice. But, you know, after that, I mean, it's up to that person that is in charge of the station then to roll the dice. And an argument could be made that they really don't have decisions. They just have to roll the dice, you know, and then come what may, that's what they get. But what this game maybe lacks in truly meaningful decisions, it makes up for it incredibly with just how much freaking fun it is. There's just, first of all, a game like this has to be fast, and these games go fast. I mean, you aren't going to be playing this game forever. You're not going to be turn 17. Let's see who can make it. Oh, I still have one shield left. No, I mean, this is a game that you're burning through it, and then if everybody knows how to play, I mean, these games can end really quickly. And then that's cool, though, because then you just reboot and you play it again, and then you just kind of, you keep tally of who did the best that evening. But that being said, fast game. There's nothing more fun than, like, getting the perfect die roll for exactly what you needed to blast the hell out of your opponent with your torpedo in the perfect spot. And there's nothing more disparaging and like, when like you just, that's totally not the die roll I needed. I needed this. And then you watch as the enemy just cruises in slowly for the kill, and you're like, just fine, whatever, blow me up, you know. And that's kind of like, and then starts the antagonistic nature between, you know, you're good friends, obviously, but it's like, why did you roll that? You know, it's like, oh, you know, the one chance we had, you let me down. I mean, it tells a story. You get caught up in the action. You get caught up in the fervor of the situation. The winners are high-fiving each other. The losers are flicking their friends off, you know, underneath the table, maybe not underneath the table, if you will, and several naughty words maybe spoken back and forth and trash talking. But I mean, that's all hallmarks of everybody having a really good time. And this is a game that we will bust out usually before we start playing the heavier stuff in the evening. I've been graced lately with the fact that I have like a secondary gaming group now. I've met a few people here in my hometown. I have the guys that I played games with since I was like, you know, 10, and I cherish them. They're my best friends in the whole world. But like through friend of a friend, I've met another group, and we regularly meet every week now, and it's been kind of invigorating me. And this is a kind of game that we play to kind of get ourselves geared up for a night of gaming, and it works perfectly for that. And at times it becomes the only game we play because we just start having a lot of fun. I hope I've explained to you how much I just really dig the heck out of the game. I mean, the components are beautiful. I mean, these dice are just, they look awesome. They're bright, they're colorful. Everything about the game looks really cool. The game board, as I said, has those nice little flourishes on it and stuff like that that really bring more to it. I mean, Stronghold Games has always prided themselves on the looks of their game, and this really shows it once again. The really cool thing is that I am semi-privy to things that the things that go on within the industry, and I do know that they are kind of taking this Space Cadets franchise, if you will, and they're going to be building it. I even kind of know, and I've play tested like the next game that they're going to have for the Space Cadets idea, the Space Cadets theme, if you will. So I really dig what Stronghold Games is doing with this, and I think the sky's the limit as far as this theme and the way they're going to take this type of game. Anyway, who is this game for? This game is for people that like playing head-to-head. They like crushing their opponents underneath their thumb. They like dice, they like randomness, and they like a highly interactive game between you and your opponents and you and your team. If you don't like randomness, if you don't like a real-time game, if you want to be able to like sit and plot out and think and overthink your turns, this might not be the game for you. But frankly, if you just want a game that's just flat-out fun, I strongly suggest picking up Space Cadets Dice Duel. So there you go. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments or concerns or what have you, go ahead and post those, and I will answer those to the best of my ability. And man, I should just I could hit a play button on a tape recorder, and my ending would be exactly the same, right? But no, seriously, if you have anything you want to say, go ahead and post that. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm Undead Viking on Twitter, and I'm gonna have more of those like, hey, what should I review type of things. I think I'm gonna start trying to do that every week, and try to get some feedback going. And also, if you want to check me out on Facebook, you can find me at Undead Viking Videos on Facebook as well. So, thanks a lot for everything, and until the next time, have yourself an awesome day. All right, bye-bye now.